Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Lori Jervis. I'm a Euro-American woman, and I'm wearing a white top with kind of green-blue flowers. Welcome to First Unitarian Church, where our mission is to explore the eternal, nurture community, and pursue the common good. We welcome you in your brokenness and in your wholeness. No matter who you have been, who you are, or who you are becoming, we greet you today with love. I'd like to extend a special welcome to everyone who is watching us on YouTube this morning. During the prelude, please introduce yourself in the comments and let us know where you're joining us from. If you're in OKC, what neighborhood are you in? Or if you're elsewhere, what city are you in? And also a big welcome to anybody who's visiting or any newcomers today. Now the prelude prepares us for worship. We light the chalice as a symbol of our sacred time together. The burning chalice represents the light of reason and science, the warmth of loving community, and the cleansing heat of justice, and the flame of hope.
Good morning. My name is Tim Atkins, and I serve as the Lifespan Religious Educator here at the First Unitarian Church. My pronouns are he, him, and I am both big and tall, white guy with brown hair, a goatee, rainbow glasses, and a multicolored gingham shirt. I begin our call to worship with this invocation by Lois Van Leer. We light this chalice on the brink of the new year, letting go of what has been, open and hopeful for what may come, renewed, restored, ready to live life fully anew. May we move forward with intention. So New Year's is my favorite winter holiday. Every year I have some New Year's rituals that I do for myself, and today as part of our worship, I'm inviting you to join me in this reflection on the new year. We do this in 3 parts: lamenting the past year and deciding what we want to leave behind, setting ourselves up for the new year, and finally setting an intention for the new year. But we begin with lament. Our call to worship this morning continues with this reading from a longer essay by the UU minister, Reverend Peter Buluda, and is called More Love Somewhere, the Unedited Hymn. I have long been uneasy with a recent practice among Unitarian Universalists of singing changed words to a particular song in Singing the Living Tradition, the hymnal published by the Unitarian Universalist Association. The changed lyrics I am thinking of are to the old African-American spiritual, "There is more love somewhere." I've heard it sung by UUs as, "There is more love right here." People who have everything they need don't understand why they would sing about love and hope and joy being somewhere else. Being privileged enough to not want for many of life's blessings can be incapable of hearing the yearning of those who go without. Lament is a misunderstood and underappreciated form of prayer. We can be grateful for what we have, we can ask for what we need, we can admit when we've made mistakes. But to cry out, "Why? How long must I endure this?" does none of these things, yet is it as authentic a prayer as any. Longing for what is not yet, yearning for what is absent, ultimately affirms hope. Not optimism, hope. Happiness and love and joy and peace are attainable, even as they are not yet attained. Expressions of aching desire do not merely allow us to wallow. It is not an admission of defeat. Calling out for what is missing is ultimately an affirmation of resolve and expectation. I'm going to keep on till I find it. It's been my experience that Unitarian Universalists shy away from sharing experiences of loss and suffering, and are uncomfortable with needing or wanting or asking for help. I think many of you don't like to publicly admit that evils will be vanquished by our advancing guard of yellow-shirted UUs, marching as if off to war. Can we take time to acknowledge that we are not there yet? That we are powered by our love for the world and our compassion for those who suffer? Can we take time to lament, to grieve that there is not enough goodness and trust and solidarity in the world, to grieve that there is not enough love in the world, that there is more love somewhere, and that we will keep on until we find it? When I sing "There is more love somewhere," I enter into that inward space of not yet, if acknowledging the way things are is often unjust and unkind. But justice and kindness will be ours. Peace and joy will be ours. Knowing that what I am singing is the hope and yearning of people whose traumatic and brutal circumstance I can only imagine, when I sing this song, I lament for the way things are, and I lament the current social order. I lament my present circumstances that are incomplete. I long for more love and more joy, more peace, and I lift that longing up in an act of worship, in an act of prayer. Now, would you please rise in body or in spirit and join me in singing hymn number 95, "There Is More Love Somewhere." Thank you, Becky. And thank you for leading us in our songs today, Becky. You may be seated. So I want to start off with a quick show of hands. Who here thinks 2023 was the best year ever? Give a wave if you do. I see no waves from the audience. All right, that's good, because if you thought so, you might want to tune me out for the next few minutes. Because for so many of us, 2023 was a year filled with, well, let's just say it was a pretty bad year. So looking back on the year, I know my mind always first goes to all the negatives. It seems like there are so many mass shootings this year that they all blend together. War erupted in the Middle East with horrifying consequences for civilians who are just trying to live their lives. This year began with our awful Oklahoma State legislature making national news for, well, being so awful. They went on the attack against anyone who isn't a straight white male, but this year they especially targeted trans kids in the Oklahoma queer community. We have elected state officials who are determined to appeal to the worst bigotry in people for their own political power. It's been a hard year, especially for Oklahoma queer folk. We've got COVID on the resurgence. Almost every single person has been touched by grief or loss this year, and I'm certainly no different. So many of us have faced friends, family members, and pets who are facing serious illnesses, and that's just never easy. So many of us are financially struggling. We're struggling because we see yet this new COVID wave rapidly descending upon us. We are struggling with losses, both personal and iconic. We're struggling, period. I don't think I need to keep going on. That'd be kind of a bummer. I think everyone here could spend quite a long time rattling off the horrors we faced collectively and individually this year. We are ready to say goodbye to 2023. Sure, there are some good parts to 2023. Some of us had some great things happen in our lives this year, and I know I had a few too. But so many of us have things we want to leave behind and not bring with us to the new year. And I bet that even if you think 2023 was your best year ever for some strange reason, there is at least something you want to leave behind and not bring with you into the new year. So without a doubt, New Year's Day is the most meaningful winter holiday for me, and why I love to do this service. Because New Year's Day for this religious humanist is the chance to leave behind what I don't like about the past year and start over with a fresh slate, with fresh intentions. Now, it's not like I can leave behind the tragedies that are going to happen in the upcoming year. There's only so much in our power to control. We can't control big global events, disasters, and tragedies, but we can control our reactions to them and our response to them. There's a lot of fear out there, and we may not be able to leave fear behind in 2023, but we can leave behind our inaction in the face of fear. We can leave behind the entropy that keeps us at rest. We can leave behind the fear of action in the face of troubling circumstances. Each of us has something about ourselves that we experienced this year that we wish we hadn't. Each of us has some sort of character trait we wish we could leave behind so we could be more fully our best selves. New Year's and New Year's Day is a chance for us to reflect on those things we really should leave behind, that we need to leave behind, so we can begin again in love. So I know I have things I want to leave behind in 2023. There were times I felt like I wasn't active enough. There were times I wish I had said yes instead of saying I shouldn't. There were times I wish I had said no instead of saying yes. And what I most want to leave behind this year is a lack of confidence in myself. So now I'm pretty darn confident when it comes to my work and my career and those kinds of things, but I want to carry over that same professional confidence into my personal life and casual interactions with folks and break out of my introvert cave. So I want to leave behind my inner saboteur this year. So what are the things that you want to leave behind in 2023 so you can make a fresh start? I want you to spend a couple of minutes thinking about this. Once you're done, on your way in, you got a little slip of paper. If not, we have plenty more in the back. This paper is special magic paper. I'm going to want you to write what you want to leave behind on the piece of paper. There are pencils in the pews in the back, and if you need paper, we will have some ushers walk through and hand out some paper. Thank you. Thank you, ushers. I saw them stand up as I said that. Appreciate it. Once you're done, write what you want to leave behind down on this special paper. And once you've written down it, you are invited to rise and come to one of our two stations. We have one in the front and one in the back. Please come down the center aisle and return along the edges by the windows. We have some bowls of water that come to us from our water communion at the beginning of the year. You place your piece of paper in the water and watch the strength of our community help you wash away what you want to leave behind in 2023. For those of us joining online, I invite you to do the same ritual using your own piece of paper. But you could also consider burying the piece of paper in your yard, or if you have a bonfire sometime soon, set it alight and watch it disappear in a wisp of smoke. Steve will provide us some light music as we enter into this time of ritual. Thank you, Steve. In that spirit of letting go, I invite you into a time of prayer and reflective meditation. Please settle in comfortably and take 3 deep breaths with me. 1, 2, and 3. May everyone who finds their situation hopeless today find a little bit of hope. May everyone who finds their situation filled with anger find a little bit of peace today. And may everyone who finds their situation filled with fear find a little comfort today. I invite you to name out loud or in the chat those names of folks who are on your heart today. Teddy. Stephen. Kevin. We hold these in our collective hearts. We hold in our hearts all of those affected by community and other illnesses across our community. We hold in our hearts all those feeling sadness and loneliness during this time of year. I now invite you into a spirit of prayer. Spirit of life, known to us by many names and by none, we give thanks for being together this day. We give thanks for all the joys and our heart breaks for all the pains in our community, those both spoken and left unsaid in our collective hearts. May all in need of healing from our community and beyond find peace, health, healing, and overwhelming love. May we all have a healthy and happy new year. Amen, and blessed be. You may remain seated as we sing hymn number 38 in the great hardback hymnal, Morning Has Broken. So morning has broken like the first morning, so the song goes. And I like to think of the new year as the morning to the whole year. So what do we typically do in the morning? Well, we start by preparing ourselves for the new day. And what's often up first? A shower to wash away all that dirt from the prior day. Well, in a way, we kind of just did that with our letting go ritual. And now that we've left everything behind we want to leave behind in 2023, it's time for us to think about how we should prepare ourselves for the new year. Now, I've got a personal few New Year's traditions that I use as a way to prepare myself. First and foremost is cleaning. Now, I'm not a clean person by nature. I am a single guy. And as a single guy, my place usually tends to reflect that stereotypical single guyness with the amount of unclean around. But I take cleaning seriously during the weeks leading up to the new year. I go all in. I do a deep clean. And I started doing this process right after Christmas, although I've had to pause it for a few days to focus on kitty care. I'm getting back to it later today. Now, I know some people do this kind of thing during the springtime with a deep spring cleaning, but I do it at the new year. Well, why? Because I don't want to bring last year's trash into the new year, both metaphorically and literally. Well, metaphorically, we just took care of some of that with our ritual of letting go. We've taken out the metaphorical trash that's been weighing us down, and our souls have that nice, squeaky, fresh and clean feeling. So it's time to make my actual living space have that same nice and fresh, clean feeling, hence the deep clean. Not fun, not exciting, but it's another way I set myself up to have a great new year. There's something liberating about taking out last year's trash. And I also find comfort in moving from the metaphorical to the literal. Now, you might not be like me and not need to give your house or apartment such a deep clean for the new year. Just because it's my tradition doesn't mean it needs to be yours too. But there is something you can do in your life, even today, that can bring this metaphorical starting over into something literal. Every culture has some sort of ritual around the new year. Some eat 12 grapes at the strike of midnight, making a wish for each grape. Some make scarecrows to symbolize the old year and burn them at midnight. In South Georgia, where I grew up, we eat. Specifically, we eat black-eyed peas and collard greens, right? It's always been the traditional Southern New Year's Day meal to have black-eyed peas, collard greens, ham, and cornbread. So it's apparently a tradition that dates back to the Civil War, from what I've read, that during Sherman's march to the sea, they burned all of the crops but spared the black-eyed peas because they were food for farm animals. So the people in Georgia were lucky and didn't starve because they were able to eat black-eyed peas. Now, who knows if that's where the tradition really comes from, but the first meal you're supposed to eat on January 1st is black-eyed peas to have a lucky new year and collard greens to represent wealth for the new year. All right, so confession time. I've never actually eaten that standard meal for New Year's because I don't actually like black-eyed peas, but it's the tradition that appeals to me. And once again, it's an example of bringing our metaphorical hopes for the new year into the literal. Rituals matter. All rituals we do are a way to bring metaphors to life, but they seem to have a particular meaning, at least to me, around the new year and the holiday season. They help us clean the slate for the new year and help us set the intentions for the upcoming year. One more ritual I'd love to help clean the slate for the new year is the responsive reading we're about to do, the Litany of Atonement. This responsive reading has always been the favorite of mine in our hymnal. Many of us have self-imposed burdens that weigh us down and try their best to guilt us, saying that we aren't good enough, that we haven't done enough, that we screwed up, that we'll never be forgiven. We have to let go of these thoughts, and there's no time like the new year to get started in the spirit of self-forgiveness. This is another way we can clean our metaphorical slate for the new year and begin again in love. I now invite Lori to lead us in our responsive reading, number 637 in the gray hardback hymnal.
For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that we have struck out in anger without just cause.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For the selfishness which sets us apart and alone.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For falling short of the admonitions of the Spirit.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For losing sight of our unity.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For those and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
Thank you. Every Sunday, we take an offering. Since 2002, all the cash and designated checks from that offering have gone directly to external nonprofits doing good work, our Change for Change partners. For the month of December, our Change for Change partner is the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, which in your order of service it says something different, but it's actually the UUSC. The UUSC advances human rights and social justice around the world, partnering with those who confront unjust power structures and mobilizing to challenge oppressive policies. Their work is grounded in the belief that all people have inherent power and dignity. One of the UUSC's grassroots partners is the Alliance for Black Justice in Poland, the BJP. The BJP is a coalition of organizations which came together in 2022 to address the unequal treatment experienced by many black and brown people fleeing Ukraine and entering Poland. In the immediate wake of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the coalition organized to respond to the needs of Africans fleeing Ukraine by providing transport from the border areas to cities throughout Poland, and help with accessing safe accommodation, healthcare, and other basic services. For those of you who are in the sanctuary with us today, in just a moment, we'll be passing the offering plate. We know that many of you prefer to mail in a check or make your donations to Change for Change online. You could always make your gift by mailing a check to First Unitarian. Just write Change for Change on the memo line, or make an online payment through our website, oneuc.org.
All right, so progress report time. Let's see where we are in this New Year's process. We've let go of what we need to let go of, and we've done everything we can to give ourselves a fresh and clean start to the new year. So what are we going to do with this year? It's time to figure that out. So I know resolutions get a bad rap. How many of you here actually set New Year's resolutions and actually try to stick with them for more than just January? All right, we got a few resolutions fans. And now, how many of those resolutions went out the window by, say, March, or maybe the second week of the year? I know that at this point it seems a little hokey to intentionally set New Year's resolutions, but count me among the hokey and proud of it. I think one of the keys about resolutions is not what they are, but how you set them. How intentional are you being with your resolutions? Although I tend to think, slightly obsess over what my New Year's resolutions will be each year for a couple of weeks, I only truly set them after I let go of everything I need to let go of for the past year. I figure if I try to set them while I'm still bogged down by all the ills from the past year, if I try to set them while I'm still bogged down with my own self-doubts and self-criticism, there's no way the resolution will actually stick. And typically, my resolutions sound really meaningful to me and sound really boring to everyone else. I mean, my overall resolution this year is to do adulting better, right? And it's filled with smaller goals around like finances and organization. Yeah, it's pretty boring to talk about. But they're the goals I really want to be reaching right now. And they're goals that mean a lot to me where I am in my life right now. And that brings me to the second key about resolutions. Treat them like goals for the new year. They're a set of goals I want to accomplish. And I think that's how you can have successful resolutions. I think resolutions like be a more compassionate person are kind of doomed to fail because it's tough to accomplish that. It's not really a goal. Give me a goal. Give me a self-designed plan on how to get there, and it's more likely to actually happen. If it's something attainable, it's something measurable, and it's something concrete. I can hold myself accountable more easily if it's a goal rather than just a vague resolve to do better. But resolutions and goals are not the only intentions I set for the new year. In fact, there's another intention that's even more important to me than the resolutions, and it's a single word. A single word, and it's a different word for each of us. One word that you want to be the theme for your new year. The one word that would be your motto, your single word mantra to hold you to your best during the new year. This has become one of my most meaningful traditions, as many of you here know, the silly little word of the year tradition. I started this practice around a decade ago, and it's changed my life. It becomes a mantra that I meditate on throughout the year. When I'm questioning what's the right thing to do, I will look to my word of the year for guidance. So in 2017, my word was embrace. In 2018, explore. 2019 was delight. 2020 was authenticity. 2021, my word was roots. And in 2022, my word was blossom. In 2023, this year, my word has been evolve. And looking back on my year, I can see how I evolved over the past year. I changed my focus from our wider denomination to our local community. My focus evolved, and now I'm on the board of the Oklahoma Faith Network and active with the Oklahoma City Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. I feel like I'm in a better place with a lot of big life things. I feel like I've sort of evolved into my next stage of life, like I'm finally really accepting I'm in my 40s. Now, there are a lot of good words to choose from for 2024. I know some people who are picking the word resist because there's an election coming up. I know more than one person who's picked courage, deepen, build, stretch, become, balance, heal, awaken, connect, act. All good words you could pick from. In the end, no one can tell you what your word should be. It's up to you to decide what word feels right. So I've decided on my word for 2024. My word for 2024 is going to be fabulous. So why pick fabulous as my word for 2024? So I can't solve everything, but what I can do is make sure my own efforts are just a little more fabulous. How can I make my friendships and relationships over the year a little more fabulous? How can I treat myself a little more fabulously throughout the year? How can I make this church a little more fabulous each week? I feel like in Oklahoma, part of the solution to a culture of bigotry in this state is to counteract it with being as fabulous as possible. So look out, Oklahoma City. I'm looking forward to my fabulous new year in 2024. So now it's your turn. We're going to play some soft music again from Steve, and I want you to think about your word for 2024. Later today, you can write down someplace special. You can put it on your fridge, put it on your wallet or purse, in your backpack, maybe on your desk, maybe everywhere. I once thought about getting it tattooed. I'm not saying you have to. But once you've got your word, if you're here in person, share it with a neighbor and talk about why you chose it as your word. If you're online, share it in the chat and share why you chose that word. We'll take a couple of minutes for you to think about your word for 2024. Steve? So I now invite you to speak out loud your word for 2024, however loud you want the universe to hear it. Go ahead and say it out loud. Fabulous. May all of your intentions come true in 2024. And may you all have a happy and healthy new year. Amen and blessed be. Now please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing hymn number 298, Wake Now My Senses. A hymn to me that speaks to our setting intentions for the new year. All five verses. I'm a fan of singing all the verses in the hymnal. I'm not one of these sing verse 1, 2, and 4 people. All right. Wake now. Before we extinguish our chalice, I would like to invite everyone to join us in the social hall down this way for coffee and conversation, and you can share your words with each other. And now, extinguishing.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of love and community which burns in our hearts.
And our closing benediction comes from Lois Van Leer. Having let go, set our attentions, named our curiosity, committed our energies, and given ourselves over to lives of balance, purpose, and meaning, let us begin again in love. Happy New Year, everybody.